For more than a century, they've called baseball America's pastime. And when you hear that, you picture green grass, sunny days, and larger-than-life heroes. But behind that perfect picture, well, there's a much darker history. A story full of shocking scandals that have really pushed the game and its fans to the brink. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that hidden side of the game.
This line, it's one of the most famous quotes in all of sports. And here's the thing, it probably never even happened, but it doesn't matter, right? Because it just perfectly captures that gut punch feeling of every single baseball scandal. It's that moment your hero falls, that moment the game you love feels totally betrayed. And that's the conflict, isn't it? The unbelievable talent you see on the field versus the shocking things they do off of it.
And the first, and maybe the biggest, threat to the game has always been gambling. You could call it the original sin of baseball. It's this dark cloud that's been hanging over the sport from the very beginning, this temptation that threatens to rot the whole thing from the inside out.
And look, this slide shows you that this problem never really went away. Back in 1919, you had the Black Sox scandal. 8 players accused of throwing the World Series for a payday. They actually got acquitted in court, but baseball didn't care, banned for life. So you think, okay, lesson learned, right? Nope. Fast forward 70 years, and it happens again with Pete Rose, the guy with more hits than anyone ever, banned for life for betting on games, even games his own team was playing in.
And this is why it's such a big deal. At the heart of it is Major League Baseball's Rule 21. This rule is posted in every single professional clubhouse in the country, and it is not messing around. It doesn't say you might get in trouble. It says you shall be declared permanently ineligible. It is the absolute third rail of baseball. You touch it, you're done. And that's why what Pete Rose did was seen as the ultimate betrayal. And for Pete Rose, this wasn't just some casual bet here or there. Oh no. One of his associates actually estimated that over his lifetime, Rose lost a mind-blowing $100 million from gambling. A number that big isn't just about money anymore. It paints this picture of a deep, powerful addiction that cost him literally everything: his career, his legacy, and any shot he had at the Hall of Fame. Okay, so let's shift gears and jump into the modern era's biggest, ugliest scandal. Now, the cheating wasn't about losing games for money. It was the complete opposite. This was about cheating to win at any cost imaginable. This was the steroid era, a time when superhuman home runs shattered the record books and also shattered the trust of an entire generation of baseball fans.
And right at the epicenter of it all was this man, Barry Bonds. I mean, just look at these stats. They're ridiculous. He's the all-time home run king with 762. 7-time MVP. That's insane. He wasn't just a great player. He was arguably the most feared, most dominant hitter to ever pick up a bat. On paper, the man is an absolute god of the game.
But then you hear this. Off the field, a completely different and, frankly, terrifying picture of Barry Bonds started to emerge during the federal Balco investigation. His mistress of 9 years gave this absolutely shocking testimony, describing not just his alleged steroid use and its physical side effects, but also just chilling verbal abuse. It creates this whiplash, right, between the on-field hero and the deeply, deeply flawed man behind the numbers.
And the other giant of that era was Alex Rodriguez, A-Rod. He was the whole package. Unbelievable talent, charisma, a World Series ring. He even signed 2 of the biggest contracts in the history of sports. For a long time, he really was the face of baseball, a true global superstar.
But his whole legacy just unraveled. After years of denying everything, he was hit with a record-breaking suspension, a full season, for his part in the Biogenesis scandal. And at the same exact time, his personal life just became total tabloid chaos. It was a complete and total fall from grace, both on the field and off.
You know, all these scandals, they force us to look past the stats, past the home runs, and into the really messy, complicated, and often tragic personal lives of some of the game's biggest legends. Their public legacies are just tangled up forever with their private demons.
Ty Cobb is the perfect example. The myth, the story we've all heard, is that he was this violent, racist monster who sharpened his spikes to slice up opponents. But the truth? It's way more complicated. A huge chunk of that reputation was either made up or wildly exaggerated by a sports writer decades after Cobb retired. The reality is, he was a smart investor, he loved to read, and he was the very first person ever voted into the Hall of Fame.
And to really understand the guy, you have to know about this one absolutely horrific event that shaped his entire life.
Just 3 weeks before he played his first major league game, his own mother shot and killed his father. Can you even imagine? People said that event gave him a ferocious attitude for the rest of his life. Now, it doesn't excuse everything, not at all, but it definitely changes how you see the legend.
And then you have the story of Mickey Mantle, which is just a flat-out tragedy. On the outside, he was the all-American kid from Oklahoma, the perfect hero. But his real life was this awful cycle of pain. It started with horrific abuse when he was a child. That trauma fueled a lifelong, crippling battle with alcoholism that ran right alongside his Hall of Fame career. And the cycle just kept going. His addiction wrecked his family, and tragically, all 4 of his sons became alcoholics too. 2 of them died young. It's just heartbreaking.
And maybe the most gut-wrenching part is that Mantle himself knew it. Near the end of his life, he used what time he had left to tell kids, "Don't be like me." He said, "I'm no hero." Just think about that. It's this powerful, painful admission from a man who spent his whole life running away from that very hero label everyone put on him.
So, after hearing all of this, the gambling, the steroids, these dark personal stories, it leaves us with a really tough question, doesn't it? When we look back at these giants of the game, what are we supposed to see? What actually makes a legacy?
So, do we focus on the numbers on the back of their baseball cards? The home runs, the MVPs, the championships? Or do we define them by the scandals, the betrayals, and the human flaws that stain their greatness? It's the big, unresolved debate at the very heart of America's pastime. I'll leave you with that question to think about. Stats and scandals. How should we remember them?